My name is Cissi I am 15 years old and I'm a babysitter. I had a neighbor that needed a babysitter and she reached out to me and asked if I would be available for that date and time, and I accepted. And then word of mouth, things kind of got around, and before I knew it, I was booking jobs left and right. Through this process, I have learned responsibility. I mean, it's no small task to be asked to take care of other people's children, and that has really helped me see what I need to be responsible. Time management is a big one. I mean, it's no secret that middle schoolers and high schoolers have crazy lives packed with, school, grades, social life, extracurriculars, sports, and throwing an extra thing in there like babysitting is it's pretty crazy. But through this business, I've learned how to balance all of that and how to make sure that it all works. I think part of what's keeping my peers from starting their own businesses is the fear of failure. And I think that to get over that, they really just need to try it. Shoot for the stars, go for it.
So, what's an entrepreneur? An entrepreneur is someone who starts and runs a business. It's that simple. If you had a graduate degree, you'd make it more complex than that, but it's really that simple. There are two kinds of businesses. There's lots of kinds of businesses, but the two broad categories I use are service businesses and product businesses. SageWorks, my tech business, was a technology product business, and in a product business, you sell stuff. You might make stuff and sell it on Amazon or eBay or whatever. That's a product business. A service business is where you're selling yourself. You're providing services. So when I was a kid, I did all these small service businesses. We did roof repair and lawn services. That's where you're selling your time. That's a service business. It's okay to do either one, by the way. But in this course, we focus on service businesses because you don't need as much money to start them. You don't need lots of capital. You can start a service business, depending upon the kind of business you start, for less than $100 pretty easily. And actually, sometimes you only need like $25 or $50. So we're going to focus on service businesses, although I think all these principles will apply to a product business if that's what you want to do. What does it take to be an entrepreneur? I get a little worried about this section. I'm worried about it in a couple of ways. One is I don't want you to think that you need every single attribute I'm going to talk about. I don't have all these attributes to be an entrepreneur. But I would say if you have more of these attributes, more of these qualities, if you possess more of these things, you'll probably have an easier chance of being an entrepreneur. And also, these are things that you can learn. Some of it you're born with, like athletics. Sometimes you're born running a 4.4 40. I mean, most of us are not born that way. We have to work into that. But I would say that don't be discouraged if you don't have all these attributes. Nobody does. And you can also learn to develop these. Number one, passion. We can kind of end it there. You got to like what you're doing. Can you imagine a world where you're doing something and getting paid to do something that you love to do? The number one thing you have to have is passion. You got to like what you're doing. I have been lucky in my professional life. I've always liked what I did. And I don't think I could separate that from being an entrepreneur. I think they're one and the same. So I've always run businesses and I've liked the businesses that I'm running. So find something that you like to do. It's major. By the way, there's nothing wrong with getting a job, but I'm gonna splice in some life advice here. My kids are always saying I give life lessons. I'm gonna give one to you. Even if you don't become an entrepreneur, try to find something that you like doing. It makes me sad. I get down a little bit. There's so many adults doing things that they don't like to do. So try to find something that you like to do, no matter whether you're an entrepreneur or not. But definitely, if you're going to be successful in business as an entrepreneur, you got to love what you're doing. Next one up is adaptiveness. Really, the truth is I can't put a word on this, so I'm going to use a lot of words. We say adaptive, but it might mean creative, finding back doors to things, learning and integrating data into making decisions, trying to find creative ways to solve problems. I don't want to say that entrepreneurs are not linear thinkers, like up-down thinkers, but it's kind of true. They can sort of figure out creative ways to solve problems. I've never been able to really, I definitely can't put it in one word, but it's hard to describe. They're just good at finding creative ways to solve, sort of obstacles that come up. So, and I would say some of that you learn to do. You can definitely learn to do that at an early age, but there's a little bit of skill in that as well. A willingness to learn. Entrepreneurs are usually headstrong people. They kind of know where they're going. They're not always super confident, by the way. That's a myth. But they're headstrong. They kind of know where they want to go. But they're willing to learn. They're willing to get better and take information in and get their business better. By the way, the specific reason for that is because it's very rare when you get out to the market, you know exactly what you're going to do, and you go do it, and it's right. You got to be able to take information in and change your business as you learn stuff. So good entrepreneurs are willing to learn. They're not just headstrong. Financial self-control, what does that mean? It means don't spend everything that you make. I would say that's also true, that most entrepreneurs get good, and you can do this from a young age. It's a skill you can learn. This is something you can definitely learn, where you take some money out of the business and you can buy things for yourself. That's why you're doing it, to make a profit. But you also learn the organic skill of taking profits and rolling it back into the business. And we call that financial self-control, but it's really learning how to deal with money. An ability to communicate. Again, I have this. On this point, I could get this wrong, and I don't want to get it wrong. Communication, though, the way I mean it is not exactly the way most people mean it. I'm communicating right now. I'm sort of talking at you. That's one way of communication. It's called public speaking, which is terrifying, for the record, by the way. But that's sort of broadcasting to you. The kind of communication that I love is listening. So there's talking and putting information out, which is what I have to do in a course, but there's listening. And the more powerful form of communication is listening to people and asking questions, learning about them, learning about your customers, learning about your market, taking information in and using that information to develop your company. So if you are an introvert, don't worry. There's introverts, people take information in, and there's extroverts, people who push information out. It's kind of funny. All the extroverts say they're introverts, but it's not true. I was and am definitely an introvert. I like taking information in and gathering information and sort of listening. And I think often those are the best entrepreneurs. So if you're an extrovert, you might be able to give a speech real well, but it doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be a great entrepreneur. Entrepreneurs are great at taking information in, so you got to learn to listen. Listening is key to communication.